Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel Literature with D. Today I'll be talking about the feminist reading of the play Tempest. Shakespeare is actually known for his strong female characters in his play, like we have Portia from Merchant of Venice, we have Viola in the Twelfth Night, we have Lady Macbeth in Macbeth. So he's actually known for strong portrayal of female characters. But in Twelfth Night, which is his last masterpiece, he actually falls short of feminist analysis. Rather to break the traditional gender roles, Shakespeare kind of conforms to them. So Tempest actually reinforces the patriarchal ideology of traditional gender roles through the patriarchal male Prospero who exercises his extreme control over his daughter. So what does this convey? The gender role within the Tempest actually portray how women were expected to be in this period, how women's role were shaped during the Elizabethan era. Even though England had been ruled by a female monarch for over 4 decades by then, women still had limited rights. Upper class women during the Elizabethan age had an access to education. Though their education was limited, they had the privilege of being educated. The condition of lower class women was very poor during this period because they were basically considered as objects used for reproduction. Moving on to the character of Miranda in the play Tempest. Miranda, she is the only alive women character in this play. So her singular representation represents the condition of women during this age. Also, there is no mention of Prospero's mother, or there is no significant mention of Miranda's mother too. So, women during this period were actually a victim of patriarchy. So, here, patriarchy actually disturbs the father-daughter bond. As Prospero, he controls his daughter. He controls everything in Miranda's life, which actually makes Miranda lack individuality. She has no self-inquiry within herself. She becomes a victim of patriarchy and she is self-suppressed from within, which is expressed in a conversation between Miranda and Ferdinand. She actually confesses her love to Ferdinand and she says, "I am your wife if you will marry me. If not, I'll die your maid. To be your fellow, you may deny me, but I'll be your servant, whether you will or no." So she is like, if you accept me, I'll be your wife. If you do not accept me, I'll die your maid. She is self-suppressed within herself and she is totally dependent on men, whether it is her father Prospero or it is Ferdinand. The character Miranda stands as a representation of how women were expected to behave in an Elizabethan society to be respected. So in the whole play, Miranda's only mentioned good traits or characteristics are her virtue, beauty and obedience. There is nothing more than this expressed in the whole play about Miranda. The main thing expected from Miranda from Prospero and Ferdinand and other spectators in the play is just her virtue. Her virtue, her chastity is respected, and thus Miranda stands as an example of how women should behave in a society to be respected, how she should not go against the ideal people or how she should obey the authority to be respected. Thus she stands as an example of how a patriarchal woman is. Moving to the character of Sycorax. Sycorax is an absent character in this play, but she actually holds a strong and very dominant presence, but she is also suppressed. She stands as an example of a native woman. She represents native women or aboriginal women. So, Sycorax stands as an example of how patriarchy and colonialism suppresses her voice. We never see Sycorax narrating her tale. It is only Prospero and Ariel describing Sycorax in their androcentric views. We come to know from their narration that Sycorax had an illicit relationship with devil. She mastered in magic, but her magic is referred to as witchcraft because it was viewed as a danger to people. Considering Prospero, he even manipulated and took control of people, but his magic was considered as magic, but the magic of Sycorax was termed as witchcraft and she was banished. She was put alone in an island. Thus, she stands as an example of how women were not expected to behave in a society. The fact here how man exploits women to protect his own domination and fulfill his desire is viewed or is evident from Prospero narrating Sycorax's tale, narrating what Sycorax did to Ariel to get his benefits from Ariel. So, this character Sycorax, in a feminist point of view, can be viewed as a character who challenges the patriarchal ideals, and hence she is weighed down and she is banished. Shakespeare thus represents two types of women. One character who is present in the play but she is very silent, suppressed, and she is respected. Another character, she is absent in the play. She is a native woman, she is suppressed by the patriarchy and colonialism, yet her voices are heard in the play. Her role is dominant in the play. So this is how women are suppressed in the play. Also, everything they expected from women was they chased. So we come to a reference where Prospero actually mentions about Miranda's mother. He says, "Thy mother was a piece of virtue." So all he expected from his wife or his daughter or from other women from the society was just their chaste or virginity. Next I'll be talking about the male characters, how they treated the female character in the play. So coming to Prospero, he is actually a character, a manipulator who controls everything in the island, but he in specific controls the emotions and actions of his daughter Miranda. He refers to his daughter in several places in this play as wench, which is a derogatory term. So when Miranda actually supports Ferdinand, Prospero, he loses his cool. He says, "Silence, one word more, shall make me chide thee, if not hate thee. What an advocate for an impostor! Hush!" So he dares to say, "Miranda, if you speak one word more, I'll hate you." So this is a very sensitive term for a daughter to hear from his father. So here at this point, Shakespeare explores how the fundamental reality of power politics or gender politics is very much prevalent even in the purest bond of a father-daughter relationship or between children and parents. Next, moving to the character of Ferdinand, we see a lot of love-making scenes between Ferdinand and Miranda. This is a dialogue spoken by Ferdinand. He says, "For several virtues I have liked several women, never any with so full soul, but some defect in her, did quarrel with the noblest grace she owed, and put it to the foil. But you, O you, so perfect and so peerless, are created of every creature's best." So here Ferdinand compares Miranda's virtues to the virtues of women whom he had known earlier. This dialogue also shows that Ferdinand might have had acquaintances with women earlier, and Miranda, she does not question anything and she generously accepts what Ferdinand says. But Ferdinand, in his first meeting with Miranda, he questions about the virtue of Miranda. This is actually a very contradictory thing where man expects chastity from women and women does not expect anything from men. Also, the love bond between Ferdinand and Miranda shows how people then and now relate appearance with character. Miranda, she is looking good and she is judged that she has a good character. This again describes how people were out for externalities, expecting chaste, external beauty from women. Going to the characters Caliban and Stefano, how they treated Miranda and what they expected from women. So both of them, they wanted women for breeding purposes. Caliban, being an uncivilized man of the island, he tried to dishonor or to rape Miranda, and he was given severe punishments for that. Even then, he dares to speak to Prospero with guts. "Wouldn't had been done, thou didn't prevent me. I had peopled else this island with Calibans." He says that if you did not prevent me, I would have peopled this island with Calibans, or Calibans refers to his hairs. Also Caliban, when he is worshipping Stefano as his lord, he says to Stefano that, "I lord, She'll become thy bed, and I warrant, and bring thee forth, brave brood. Here he again mentions Miranda. He states that Miranda will bring Stefano good children. And immediately Stefano he agrees, his daughter and I be king and queen, which again reflects how men expected women just as machines used for breeding purposes. Concluding, Shakespeare in his play Tempest actually had given a realistic representation of the patriarchal society of the contemporary England, where women were thought to be commodities, as I mentioned earlier. So, every character in the play ill-treat and try to suppress women, be it an upper-class women or be it an aboriginal women. They are suppressed and made voiceless. Thank you. If you like my video, do like and subscribe.